Balatro has been talked about to death, and taking the gaming space by storm and neck after its release, sweeping game awards, and honestly giving us one of the sickest renditions of a video game soundtrack during the Game Awards. There's a little about the game that has been said at this point. Yet, I'm still compelled to add my own voice to the sea of anti-brained, anti-pilled players because I can finally join some of the elite of that mass and say something I've been meaning to say for a long time. I finally beat the 8th ante. More than that, it was exhilarating for all the right reasons. The way that I won is probably one of the best ways I've won something just in a while. So, any skits, cold intro. This is going to be a very simple story about how I beat the 8th ante on Balatro. Like many others, the first time I picked up the game, I literally couldn't put it down. I picked it up over the holidays and thought to myself, alright, I'll probably give this like 30 minutes to an hour. I got other shit to do today. And then I blinked. An hour passed. Then I blinked again, and 3 more hours passed. I spent 4 hours with that game during a night where I was supposed to already have game night with my family. I did have game night with my family, but every single time there was a lull. The game was so good that even in the lulls of game night, I got my grandmother in on the action. She was peeking over my shoulder being like, so this Joker... Sorry, baby, I'm just trying to understand. This Joker gives you even more chips. Balatro can suck truly anyone in with its high-stake rounds of poker hands, magical tarot cards, a dizzying amount of jokers, the frickin' solar system, and of course the increasing chip goals. But with the new year comes new games, and eventually Balatro started to take a backseat compared to the other ones that were coming out. Not because it was worse, but just because I wanted to play something new. And honestly, as I collected more hours into the game, my goal of beating the 8th ante just became less urgent. I was having plenty of fun with the game as is, unlocking Joker there, unlocking a deck here. I was getting my fill. That was until February 15th. Let's set the scene. On February 15th, it was raining outside. No, pouring, torrential rain, flash floods. I'm hanging out with my partner and my pets, but most of that day's to-do list already done, so we're just relaxing. So, for the first time in 2 weeks, I settled in my bed and opened up Balatro on my Mac. Because this game, no matter what anyone says, is a perfect match for portable devices. That's how this game was meant to be played, I'm convinced. Now, I wasn't expecting anything but a moderately okay day where, if I was lucky, I'd crash out at the 6th or 7th ante. And unfortunately for this video, I had subscribed to that mindset so much that I didn't even bother recording my gameplay. I was just gonna go in for another run as usual. But the moment I knew something was up, when I decided to finally hit record on OBS, was when I beat the boss on the 7th ante. This time I got the one that halves your multipliers and chips in a very nail-biter last hand, and realized I was on the 8th ante. And not only was I on the 8th ante, I was on the 8th ante with the very important Joker card, Mr. Bones. See, Mr. Jones is a one-use card that comes with a pretty simple but important rule. So long as you have 25% of the necessary gold to beat any current blind, including boss blinds, you will be saved and Mr. Bones will self-destruct. Or in simpler terms, just get 25% of the goal and you're home free. I literally could not believe it. I had Mr. Bones before, but it was one of those cards that pulled up during a time where I just wasn't really understanding how to make the best utilization of my decks, of the cards, and it just wasn't a card that seemed to be meant for me anymore after a while. I had hours of gameplay in Balatro without having seen Mr. Bones for a while. I almost forgot that he existed. So for a game that has given me equally despairing lows and fist-pumping highs, this was the golden ticket. However, this ticket came with one very big caveat in particular for this run. You might have noticed that the boss at the end of the 8th ante here is the Crimson Heart. The one boss that could take my golden ticket and rip it in half. For each hand, the Crimson Heart disables a random Joker. So, as tempting as it was to skip both blinds, get their little boost, and just get right to the big kahuna itself, that small chance of Mr. Bones being disabled made me realize I needed to give myself the best shot regardless. I had to make sure that I had the best set of cards for that mountain in front of me. So I did the blinds, both, showing up my confidence as I saw the numbers rack up, not just from the jokers I had meticulously picked at this point, but also just from the variety of cards I had been able to accumulate from this particular run. I strategized in the shop the best I could to give myself the best hand possible, and then, as all inevitables, it was time to face the beast, the Crimson Heart. Second one of the battle almost shattered me, as my life immediately flashed before my eyes when I saw a big red X fall on Mr. Bones' face. I almost fell into despair, but I took a deep breath and reminded myself we're still on the first hand. This was not my death, this was just a sign of it. In a possible future, one version of the multiverse that I did not want to go down. Crimson Heart had ended the game, the bastard just wanted to scare me. So, I continued my first hand. 22,499 chips. Second hand, Mr. Bones is now safe. 12,900 chips. Third hand, Mr. Bones is still safe. Now, this was going to be the most important hand of the run. Not necessarily because of what I put down, even though that certainly would help, but because after this third hand, Crimson Heart's ability would officially be activated again, and that would be the moment I knew whether or not Mr. Bones was going to be an option anymore. Whether Mr. Bones was going to be what saved me, because at this point, as much as I'm racking up numbers, I already knew in my heart I wasn't going to climb 100,000 today. So when I put down my next hand and Crimson Heart's ability activated, my fate would be sealed by whatever joker that giant X landed on. 17,402 chips. On the final hand, I looked up and I saw that Mr. Bones was safe. And so, seconds later, with a total of 56,376 chips, I saw the word saved pop in and pop out on the screen. And I got a chance to read a couple of words that I never got a chance to read in Balatro, despite my collective 17 hours. The pure elation I felt in that moment was unreal. Like the real world weeks at this point of build up. The fact that my strategizing with the Joker had nothing to even do with like giving myself the best chance possible when it came to dealing with the Crimson Heart, because at that point, the more Jokers you had, the more you decreased your chance of it landing on Mr. Bones. That wasn't even on my mind, even though it probably should have been. What was on my mind was I had a Joker whose multiplier was directly attached to the amount of Jokers in my hand. All of these things came together to create a wholly unique final showdown where luck and strategy came together in a wonderfully anxiety-inducing final hand. And I'll let you in a little secret. I needed to win specifically like this to reach that level of elation because I had already crossed 100,000 chips before while playing Balatro. Because with this game, it's possible to collect 100,000 chips in a single blind and somehow still lose the game. And maybe not the best strategy for that particular run. I won't lie. And while I'm sure I would have still felt pretty good winning by just getting 100,000 chips, it's an experience that I already had, and I truly believe that I wouldn't have felt just so exhilarated with the way this one came together. Like, I can understand that maybe being like, oh, leaving everything up to luck isn't all that great, but like, after hours of playing this game where I have meticulous planning and strategizing going on to my decks, going into the tarot cards, going into the Joker choices, I already knew what it was like to cross at 100,000 chip barrier. I already knew what it was like to have a good strategy and get far with that. I haven't had a moment where, despite all of that, I put myself in a situation where just the right amount of luck was needed to win, where it felt like a gamble, to be honest. A safe one at that, because at the end of the day, this is still just a game. All that strategizing put me in a place where I can meet luck where it is. And that's what made it feel awesome. It was a moment where I walked away thinking to myself, okay, I can see why this won Game of the Year at the Indie Game Awards show, and why I got nominated at Keeley's big game award show. Now, personally, I've never questioned if Balatro was a great game. It is, and I don't think anyone really needs to have that conversation. It's a pretty simple one. It's rare to come across a game that has such a simple twist on a familiar aesthetic, yet at the same time creates a game that has such an astonishing amount of depth, challenge, and replayability that I truly think anyone can get behind. This was just a moment where it was no longer just a great game to me, and I was like, Game of the Year. Game of the Year. I get it. This is a Game of the Year moment. Similar to how you hear a song or like hear an album for the first time in a year and you'll be like, Album of the Year right there. Like, there's other stuff that you played, and once you sit with it longer, you're gonna maybe have different feelings about it, but like, Dude, that was just one of those moments I was like, okay, yeah, game of the year. And also, quick little rant slash aside, I do mean anyone can play this game. Like, visuals be damned, this is an E for everyone game. E for everyone. I would want this in front of me if I was 10. I'm not saying Balatro can't be addictive. It's a game that has made people practice discipline in a way that they probably haven't in a while. But I'm also saying that it's a game that asks for your money once at a pretty reasonable price for the entirety of it, whose creator, Localthunk, has explicitly said the game could never be used for real gambling, all while using a set of rules that may borrow the use of poker hands, but can never teach anyone how to actually play poker, because last time I checked, it doesn't use the solar system or tarot cards, or the jokers, most importantly, to give you chip boost. And by the way, even learning how to play poker isn't a bad thing. You just have to make the choice to not gamble when you learn how to play poker. It's really that simple. And it does all of these things while asking you to use critical thinking and risk evaluation skills and build those up so you can strategize your way to victory. This is something that particularly stuck in my mind when I was looking at some of the way rating systems were treating Balatro and yet ignoring some very other obvious what the f***'s going on over there games. So long as the person playing it isn't particularly susceptible to addictive tendencies, which you should know yourself and have that conversation with yourself if it needs to be had, Balatro is simply a matter of discipline. Because really, at the end of the day, it's just a very good card game with really nice sound design. And now said game has given me another memory that will continue to pump my heart forever. Not forever, that's exaggerating. Like the title of this video says, thank you, Mr. Bones. And thank you, viewer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you liked what you saw. If you really liked what you saw, consider subscribing. And leave a comment about your own experiences with Balatros. Tell me about your highest highs, your lowest lows, the things that made you crash out, that made you, get sucked back in. What's your relationship with Balatro? I'm interested. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Again, thanks for watching. Ciao.